that long.
No. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello,
This is
YouTube.
exciting.
Indeed, this is the first time I've ever done this.
I've never done this either. This is live, happening right now.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
so we're doing basically what we're doing. If anyone wonders what the hell we're doing a podcast live, so we can then take the audio after we've done it, and then do a nice edited version, and then release the edited version at a later date. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a podcast about Ghostwatch.
Indeed. Indeed.
So,
This is the first time. As it's the first time I'm ever doing this. And hello to anyone who is watching.
Hello.
Hello. This is, as I said, as Tim quite rightly says, it is the thingy. So this is the pre show banter.
Yeah, this is not the podcast.
No,
it's terribly unprofessional if it was.
Yes.
This is behind. As I said, this is behind the scenes stuff. This is what you get on Mrs. Brown's Boys when she goes like from one part of the set to the other and all that sort of stuff, and you hear all the mistakes. Yeah. This is our version of it.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'm ready to go when you are, mate.
So am I. Give me a second.
Okay.
Who's introducing this, by the way? Me or you?
Oh, you.
Oh, okay, brilliant. No problem.
Definitely you. Definitely you.
That's definitely me. Definitely. Okay. Hello, and welcome to this very special podcast on the 1992 Halloween special, Ghostwatch. My name is Shane. You probably have already heard me on this station as the host of the Prisoner Introcast. And today I am joined by my good friend Tim.
Hello.
Hello, Tim. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very well, actually. Just sort of chilled out and ready to go for this podcast.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Brilliant.
I'm looking forward to talking about one of my favourite pieces of television drama known as Ghostwatch.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about. So for anybody who's never watched Ghostwatch before, let's have a quick discussion of how what it was, what it is, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. And just you might want to cut this out of the actual download, but I had a bit of feedback come through them.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Yeah. So as I said, we'll have a quick discussion about Ghostwatch, and then we'll actually get into the beast of the thing. So
sounds great.
Tim, how did you first watch it? Did you watch it on the night or?
I watched it on the night. My journey of Ghostwatch started not actually the night it was broadcast. It was before it was broadcast.
Oh,
because BBC ran a trailer for it, which I think was on YouTube a while back, but I can't find it now. But it was Sarah Green walking around a old style mansion, sort of haunted house, a traditional type haunted house, basically.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
It's quite darkened and all that, and with dramatic music playing and all that stuff. And she's got a torch, and then she basically just says, Ghostwatch, Halloween night, watch it, or whatever which was she said. And I thought it was going to be some sort of live ghost hunt, like Most Haunted type thing,
Yeah.
Which obviously came a lot later, but that's what I imagined in my head it was going to be. And because I knew Sarah Green mainly from going live, I thought it was going to be suitable for children. I was 11 years old at the time, so I thought, oh yeah, this looks like good fun. I'll watch this. I had no idea that what I was going to watch was a Screen 1 drama that ended up scaring the absolute bejesus out of me. Because obviously when I went in, I thought what I was watching was live. I did from start to finish. So yeah, on the night, I sat up especially to watch it, And the very moment Michael Parkinson came on and said, "We're going to show you some footage now, and you might find it a bit disturbing." As soon as he said that, I thought, "Oh, I don't think I like the look of this. I'm not quite sure, if I should be watching this." And I as it went on, I realised I made a big mistake. Yeah, I mean, not now, obviously, but at the time, it scared me so much that it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. It was, and obviously because I thought what was happening was real, that made it even worse.
Okay. How I first got into the world of Ghostwatch was I have this vague memory, and I'm sure Rich Lorden, the author of the great books and the great documentary Behind the Curtains, will put you wrong with this because I'm doing it from memory, is that just before Ghostwatch there was the news, and I'm pretty sure between Casualty and the news there was Sarah Green saying in 20 minutes Ghostwatch, as though a third. And that's how I stayed up to watch it. I mean, admittedly, again, I was only 11 years of age, and it scared the living buttcurse out of me.
Are we allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way?
No.
Okay, so we have to be very light. Okay.
So yeah,
so was that that sort of 20 minutes beforehand? Was that your first? Was that the first time you actually heard of Ghostwatch at all? You didn't see anything prior to that?
No. I didn't watch Going Live back in the day.
Right. Okay.
Or anything like that, because on a Saturday morning I used to go swimming.
Oh well, do you know what? That's better than sitting and watching telly, isn't it?
Which don't get me wrong, I love going swimming, but during the summer, not being able to watch Parallel 9.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, that's moving on to a completely different subject. So
we're going to go for a tangent here, mate. Yeah, let's back to Ghostwatch.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's as I said, it scared the living bejeebus out of me.
Did you think what you were watching at the time was real?
Yes.
So you were completely fooled by it as well?
Yeah.
How old were you again?
11.
11, same age as me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
did you get for the whole thing? Did you watch it from start to finish?
Yeah.
I didn't. I turned off with the last half an hour to go. I couldn't watch anymore. I was so scared, and I spent the next hour just physically shaking. I was so scared because they were obviously making this big thing about national science and people gadgets were all acting up and people were experiencing paranormal things at home themselves. I expected something to happen to me any second, and I was absolutely terrified, and I had to sleep with the light on that night.
Yeah,
because I was so convinced that what was happening was a major event, that was literally happening to everybody, and the whole country was just going crazy.
Yeah, no, I watched it with my parents, and I got through all of it, being completely freaked out. And when the credits rolled at the end, my parents were really quite angry, actually, because
because they were convinced by it as well.
Yeah.
And
I said they saw the credits, and they were just so angry about that. How dare they fool us?
Of course, we know that was never their intention. It's just the fact that the Scream 1 thing, I wouldn't say it wasn't well advertised, just a lot of people just didn't notice it. I mean, I didn't even know what Scream 1 was then.
I know, did I actually?
I didn't know it was like a series of one-off dramas that BBC were doing over the years. So, and obviously, all Ghostwatch was another edition of the Scream 1 thing. Yeah. But it was done so subtly at the beginning of the program. You could blink and miss it if you're not looking out for it, or if you're out the room making a cup of tea or something. You're not looking for it. You're not going to notice it at all. And some people came into the program, obviously, a couple of minutes late or something, probably didn't see it. So
Well,
yeah, a lot of people probably didn't know they were watching a drama until the credits rolled.
well, there's this famous story about there was a film on ITV, and they went to a commercial break 5 minutes after Ghostwatch started. So what you do when you hit a commercial break, you just get the
People
remote
switch it.
control and
Yeah,
channel surf, and
yes, people
Ghostwatch
switched
was
over.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
the consequence, so obviously the panic that it caused, with genuine panic that it caused with people, just not just to 11-year-olds like us, but at the time, it was real, but it was completely by accident.
oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the old thing of Parky wouldn't lie to us.
a lot of that was you trusted the people you watched on the screen because they were real. They were real presenters playing themselves. Sarah Green, Michael Parkinson. I mean, if you don't trust Sarah Green, you definitely trust Michael, don't you?
Oh, definitely.
And obviously because I was into Red Dwarf at the time. With Craig
There you
Charles
go.
on it, that
Yeah.
just sealed it. Craig Charles is just being himself. That's cool. He's doing this thing as well.
Oh, definitely.
I had no idea, obviously, when I was watching it, that this thing was filmed. Was it over 6 weeks or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In July.
Yeah, during the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
So going back to the fact that I never actually saw it all, it wasn't until the next day
yeah.
that went to school and mate mine said, "Oh, do you see Ghostwatch?" And we're talking about it and everything. And then he told me how it ended. That spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. That Sarah Green ends up getting stuck under the stairs, and Michael Parkinson ends up being possessed.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, well, that sounds great. I should have turned off actually. um, and then he said, then the credits come up at the end, and it reveals that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so none of that was real at all. He's like, no, it was all made up. At that point, I felt cheated. Again, it wasn't intended that way at all, but that is just the natural consequence of how I and many other people experienced it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until 10 years later when the BFI finally released it on VHS and DVD. I got the VHS copy, and that's when I finally got to see the full thing. So finally got to see the half an hour that I'd missed.
Yeah. No, I can go back a little bit further than that actually, because
Go with them.
Ghostwatch made me start loving, and I still do, the mockumentary genre, the horror mockumentary genre. We're talking things like Blair Witch Project, Last Broadcast. What the other? Without Warning.
Yeah.
As well, and that on the BBC website many years ago, they would real play video clips.
I remember them.
Yeah, literally just of Sarah Green going into the glory hole at the end.
Don't laugh.
No, I'm not trying. No, exactly. And also,
it meant to be very different back then. All right.
Yes, indeed. And also, I think the other one was Michael Parkinson just walking around the studio at the very end.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah. And that was for years and years and years. I think they were put on, I think, in 97, 98, I think. And then that was the only. I remember Ghostwatch. I remember being completely scared out by it, but those are the two clips that got stuck in my brain.
And I'm guessing then, in the late 90s, you thought, this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to seeing a glimpse of this ever again.
Exactly.
You never thought it would ever be released.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I talked about it for years afterwards, and people who hadn't seen it or hadn't heard of it obviously didn't know the hell I was talking about. So I was just trying to describe it to him, and I always said, it's something that's never been shown again, and I don't think they're ever going to release it. Yeah. So obviously, when they did, I was absolutely over the moon.
I still remember buying my original BFI copy from MVC.
MVC.
They were music. There was a DVD and video store way back when.
Oh right, okay. I don't remember them.
I think they closed down about 5 or 6 years ago. Oh, not even longer than that, about 10 years ago. But yeah,
I think I ordered mine online actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think I got it off a well-known online retailer.
Okay.
Other well-known online retailers are available.
Oh, indeed, yes. I think I had to order my copy in though.
What was that? Sorry.
I think I had to order my copy in.
Oh right, yeah. I think it was something I had to order, wasn't it? Because I don't think it was on, it was out on the shelves or anything.
No,
not from what I recall, anyway.
no. Indeed.
But I only had the video copy,
Okay.
not the DVD copy. So I never heard the commentary that was on it.
But I understand that you recently got the DVD copy, the BFI copy.
I did indeed.
Indeed. So yeah, have you had a chance to listen to the audio commentary?
No, I'm saving it for Halloween.
Oh, nice.
Well, I could. I mean, yeah, I've got it. I could have just plowed straight into it, but I thought, no. I'm going to wait. Make this right. So watch it with the commentary on the night. But I don't know whether I'm going to watch it with the commentary either before, during, or after the national séance, which I'm sure we'll go into a bit later on in the podcast anyway. What all that's about, but
we certainly will do.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, I haven't decided what I'm going to do there yet. But I'll definitely be watching it then. So
nice. Yeah, because well, do you want to actually just talk about the actual Ghostwatch program itself?
Sure.
We've already mentioned it was filmed in June, July time, and it was filmed mostly during the day.
That's very interesting. And I'll tell you what's interesting, because in the mid-90s, me and a friend of mine made our own poltergeist film.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it was directly influenced by Ghostwatch. It was more influenced by the Enfield poltergeist that That's Strange But True with Michael Aspel had done a special on, and it was based on that episode. That we came up with the idea of just filming our own poltergeist movie. Obviously a complete load of crap, with with video cameras and everything.
Yeah.
But we ran out of time to film the climactic scene at the end, the big battle with the like sort of exorcist character and the poltergeist. So we had to film the last bit during the day.
Okay.
And we had to draw the curtains to try and make it look like it was still nighttime. But unfortunately, in some of the shots, you could see the daylight coming through. We weren't that professional. That once we turned the light on, then we sort of got away with it. I just thought that was funny that you mentioned that, because as I said, when I was doing a poltergeist film, we did the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they only did 2 night shoots, I think, off the top of my head.
Well, obviously the outside stuff had to be done at night.
Yeah.
But
I think that they only did 2 night shoots itself.
I mean, it was really well done, because even though that, when you watch it, you're still completely convinced that the whole thing is happening the same night.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's just seamless.
I definitely. I mean, yeah, it is a. I mean, I've always wondered though, you know, watching it as I have done I've watched it, I don't know how many times over the past 25 years now, actually, isn't it?
Well, it's almost coming up to its 26th.
Yeah, indeed. But as I said, I've always wondered that how do I say this? I've always wondered how I completely forgot what I was going to say now. Actually,
It's okay. This will be cut out. It's all right.
yeah, it'll be great. If I remember it, I will go back to it.
Okay, no worries.
But yeah. So we'll have a brief discussion of actually what happened actually inside the show, and if I remember what everyone's wanted to say, I will go back to it.
Sure. Okay.
But we open with a with good old Parkinson.
Before we go into that,
Okay.
actually, we actually open with, I think, is it does it actually say Michael Parkinson starring in?
It does.
Yeah. And then that's right. Then it says written. I think it says written by Stephen Volk. Then doesn't it at that point? And
Yeah.
basically there's some credits at the start, isn't there? They're really quick.
It says Michael Parkinson in. Then it says also starring Sarah Green, Mark Smith, Craig Charles, written by Stephen Volk.
That's it. Yeah. But it's really quick. But it's blink and miss it.
I think they had to put that in the Thursday before transmission.
So I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think originally they just wanted to go straight into it without any credits at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was.
But as you quite right pointed out, they virtually did, because you started from the fact that we see Michael Parkinson.
Yeah.
So
and he introduces the house, and he also introduces to some university footage.
Now this is the bit where I immediately realised I made a massive mistake as an 11-year-old. Yeah, this wasn't going to be a sort of most haunted type thing, walking around a big, scary mansion type haunted house. This was going to be an ordinary, house in North London, and the footage was going to be really scary. Though I think my imagination was actually worse than what you actually end up seeing. I didn't actually watch when they showed the footage of the haunted bedroom. I didn't actually watch it. I hid my eyes because I couldn't, because I thought I thought something horrible was going to pop out or something. So just hearing the screaming and all that stuff, my imagination ran wild, and obviously what I imagined was a lot worse than what you end up seeing.
Yeah. Because apparently because of course there's zoomed in footage.
Yeah.
Which apparently wasn't scary. The original footage wasn't scary enough, so that's why they zoomed it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we get introduced to all the different players. Pam Early at the house, the kids, Michael Parkinson properly, Craig Charles, and
just want to stop you there a second. You mentioned Pam Early and the girls and everything, and then one thing I always remembered very early on in Ghostwatch is when Craig Charles does the first interview, and she describes what's been happening, and then she just breaks down in front of him, and all of that just for me led added to convince me of the realism of the whole thing. And then Craig turns the camera and goes back to the studio,
yeah
and yeah, I was completely convinced by that.
And then at that point, we see Pipes for the first time.
Pipes' first appearance.
Yes.
You're gonna have to remind me when it was.
Apparently, he's in the
Oh.
well, first, before I get there, I want to talk about Pipes a little bit, because the Pipes, who is the ghost of Ghostwatch, yeah, he appears several times throughout the 90-minute piece.
It's more than several times, mate.
Well,
I mean, it's been quite documented now how many times it
it's
appears.
nine, isn't it? It's nine,
Something like
including this one.
yeah, and I think there's still some other appearances that there may be, but we're not sure.
Well, according to the director, she filmed 13, and we found 9.
Right.
So yeah,
If final 13, do we get a prize?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
so this first appearance then.
he's in the background of that shot. You know what? We've got Craig Charles, Pam Early, and the 2 kids on the back of the house,
and
he's actually in that shot.
Shit, he is, isn't he? that is the sighting I always forget about. No matter how many times I watched it, I always forget about that.
Yeah. So yes, we.
I mean, the thing is, right? Let's just bear in mind that this was shown once, okay?
Yes.
And all these little things that they drop into the episode, into the show, right? Yeah, throughout the whole thing. Some people are going to notice it, some people aren't, you know, and I think that's kind of the idea behind it, that you might have someone say, "Oh, did you see that?" And the other person goes, "No, I didn't see it. I'm sure I saw something there." And then they got, unless you recorded it, you got no way of going back to check it.
Well, that kind of thing would never work these days.
Well, no.
Because, you know, with Sky Plus and that sort of stuff, you can actually rewind live television.
You got that, and also it'll be, if you haven't recorded it, it'll be on YouTube the next day anyway.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
You know, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Ghostwatch is something of its time. It's not something that you could do now.
Yeah. So we get introduced to everybody, and then we get introduced to Sarah Green, who will be spending the night inside the haunted house.
Yes, and her crew.
Yeah,
cameraman and the sound man. Now, obviously, now again, I keep going about realism. Again,
yeah.
I'm an 11-year-old who's really interested in television production, and I used to watch, obviously, Challenge Annika, so I'm used to females being followed around by a cameraman and a sound man. That sort of setup. And yeah, again, all these little elements of the sort of conventions and things you saw on early 90s television, just added to to these layers of me being completely convinced that what I was watching was real. Each one of these little elements just added to it each time.
Well, it's quite famous that the director and everybody had to unlearn their stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everything, they had to get their mindset into a typical Saturday night television show and not try to be perfect.
Sure. Yeah. They had to act as if it was live.
Yeah.
Yeah. My train of thought's gone now. What was I going to say? It'll come back to me in a second. Carry on.
You know, I was going to say that the producer, whose name's completely gone out of my head at this moment, and I do apologize, but he actually got fed up with it because he didn't know, whether this was take 3
Mhm.
and which they were going to use, or a mistake.
Well, that's the thing. It's, as I say that, I'm sure they could have left some of those things in to add to the realism, as I keep saying. I think a lot of it, could have been filmed as live and been just as convincing.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get we get introduced to everybody in Sarah Green and Alan Damascus, who's in the OB truck, and of course everyone keeps forgetting that OB truck was a prop.
Was it really?
Yeah.
But obviously, all those sort of gadgets and that were in there and everything were just completely made up for the program. I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, due to the BBC being the BBC, they could only either have studio-based stuff or OB-based stuff.
Right.
They couldn't have both.
Right.
So literally, they chose to go studio, so they had to drive the OB unit to the filming location, and as I said, it was literally just a prop.
And all the sort of people that gathered outside the house were all extras.
Well, some of them are
Or were they?
extras.
Or were they real people from the local area?
Some of them mixture of both, from what I understand.
Right. Okay. That brings me on to the thing I was going to say, actually. Especially when you know about the cameraman, the sound man, and even Sarah Green. Really, they're not really actors, are they? I mean, the
Sarah
cameraman
Green
and the
was.
sound. Okay, but the cameraman and the sound man definitely were not. I mean,
No,
they were
they were
actually they were actually real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Sarah Green was an actress. Then she went from being an actress into the Saturday morning television programs.
Yeah, but she's not playing a character, is she? She's playing herself.
Yeah.
And that's for anybody. That's really hard to do and pull it off.
That's true.
And I'll say right now, one thing they all manage to do is play themselves convincingly.
Oh, that's true.
Especially Parky. I mean, Parky, yeah.
That's true. I mean, they did metaphorically throw the script out, though.
Yeah. So basically, just go as if it was as if they're really doing this, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had the script, and the director and the director and the producer said to them, you got the script, but you make it up in your own words, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is obviously much easier because the sort of things that they're going to say or how they possibly interact with each other, some of those things you just can't script.
No, exactly.
No, and it was all completely 100% scripted. I don't think it would have come across half as well as it did.
Well, because the issue with that is that, especially with Parkinson, he would have turned into autohuman.
Yeah. And there's bits where he has to, which we'll come on to, where he has to literally spontaneously react to what's going on, especially when the the S starts hitting the fan, as it were.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we introduce to Sarah and everybody else, and she enters the house.
Yes.
And I think they're apple bobbing, aren't they, or something?
They certainly are. They certainly are, and then
we go back to the studio, I believe.
We certainly do when we get our first phone call of the evening.
Now the phone calls.
Yes.
Were they mostly people in the studio who were ringing in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a phone booth around the back.
Yeah.
so they could interact live to Gillian Bevan, who played Dr. Lynn Pascoe, and Michael Parkinson.
Yeah. And of course, the number was the famous number at the time: 08181181811.
Indeed, and they did have real, even though it was a scripted drama, they had real people manning the phones.
Yeah, because they would assume that people would actually ring the number, which they did.
Yeah, indeed, they did, in their phones.
And I think they basically said, "Look, drama, but you can tell us your ghost story anyway."
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they want to a pre-recorded message.
Mm.
Then this is a pre-recorded drama, but if you hold on the line, someone will take your call.
You can speak to someone. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they only had about 5-6 people manning the phones.
Oh, they went for a good night, weren't they?
Yeah. So when people started calling into their thousands, and the entire system went down.
Just absolutely jammed.
Yeah.
Mm.
It went haywire. So if you at the end of the program you tried ringing, all you're going to get is the engaged number, tone.
Yeah, which in a way probably added to the sort of the franticness and the tension that was going on at the time on the screen. It actually went, even though it happened for a completely different reason than what was happening on the screen. It must have led people to panic even more, thinking, I can't even get through to the BBC. It's all going tits up,
Yes. Yeah. So,
but as I said, but again, they used a number that everyone knew. I think Going Live used it.
Yep.
Didn't Crime Watch use it as well?
I think so.
Yeah, it was just like a number that was shared around.
Well, it was a standard calling number to BBC. So yeah. And actually, something I didn't find out till the other day, but if somebody picked up a phone in the kind of like what they do in Ghostwatch, but it was exactly the same thing on Going Live. Those phones you see in Going Live are props.
Oh yeah. It comes through the speakers.
Yeah, in the studio. I
The
didn't
actual
know
phone
that.
call. No, they're props. Yeah.
Didn't realize that till the other day.
If you watch some old clips, you can see some of the people who they who did the interview. I think it was with there's one with Rick and Aid.
Yeah.
And they're literally taking the mick out of the whole thing. There's like, these phones don't work, don't you? You know this isn't real.
So yeah.
But again, this is very much. I'm not sure if it's an early '90s thing. I think it's pretty much constant within television. There is a fakery in TV, where things are done for show.
Yeah.
But they're not as they're not as real as you think they are.
Now, can you? Well, I tie directly back to Ghostwatch. Can you believe what you're actually watching?
Well, I did.
Yes.
No, I was completely taken in by it, hook, line, sinker.
Yeah. So, so we had our first. For
the reason that was disgusting, because all these elements that were playing out in front of our eyes, were things that you expect to see in a live show.
Oh, definitely. So we have our first phone call, and they describe a ghostly figure in the corner of the children's bedroom.
Now, this is interesting. This is going back to what I was saying about the ability to record the program and then go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Because if you try to remember the bedroom footage from the first time round, your mind's going to be playing tricks on you here. In fact, obviously, I think that I'm not sure whether it was Stephen or whether it was Leslie who were trying to do this, or both of them together. But I'm sure they were deliberately trying to trick the audience here. Not in a bad way, just literally, trying to play with audiences' perceptions and memories.
Yeah, definitely.
And it works, even though I've watched it so many times since, on DVD. yeah, I still love I still love the way you get all this sort of playing around with what you're seeing. You know, as you said yourself, is what you're seeing real or not?
Yeah,
So the bedroom footage, she thinks
yeah,
she thinks she sees something. We don't see it straight away, do they? I think Michael says, "Oh, we'll have to find that piece of footage."
yeah. Because we go back to the house, and that's when Sarah Green gets scared by Craig Charles.
Now, I absolutely love that bit when I first saw that as a kid.
Yeah,
Because it was just the sort of thing you'd expect Craig to do.
yeah,
You know, it just works so well because obviously they're apple bobbing, and then you hear the taps. You
yeah,
know, and straight away I was like, oh shit, you know, sorry, excuse my language, but oh no, uh, something's starting to happen already, and it's
yeah,
happening live on television. Oh my god, oh my god. And then of course, yeah, Craig bursts out with the mask and everything, and scares Sarah Green to death. But now you look back on it, you can actually see that that is a classic horror fake out.
yeah,
You know, it's using the classic horror conventions of early on you got somebody who plays a trick on another character,
yeah.
but watch out because they may end up getting theirs later. Craig doesn't, of course,
No,
not in this, but Sarah does.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And but yeah, that scream that Sarah does, to me, always seems a bit too real.
so I don't know if you know, was she aware this was going to happen, or was this done totally
I don't
spontaneously?
know. I
No,
don't know.
right.
I have no idea, but that scream does seem a bit too real for my ears.
So you think they actually gently set that up just to get her reaction?
I don't know. I
No.
don't know.
Don't know.
But yeah,
We'll have to find out. We'll have to find out, man.
mm,
That's a very interesting question. Anyway, definitely an interesting
yeah,
thought.
yeah. But then we cut. Then we cut back to the studio. Then we cut back to the house. Very, very briefly, literally for about 30 seconds, to have a big kerfuffle about, you know, we've scared Sarah Green, ha 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 ha. But then we cut back to the house, and for me, watching it now, to me, it seems obvious that it was done on it's a different day.
Yeah. So what element of that scene makes you see that it was at a different time?
I think because the fact that Sarah Green recovered a bit too quickly from the scare.
Right. Yeah.
You know. Here she had freaked out, and 30 seconds later, oh yes, I'm fine, thank you very much.
True. Yeah, she did recover very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, at the same time, they've got to move the story on a bit, haven't they?
Yeah.
And this is the bit, of course, where she starts walking around the house, showing them around, and actually explaining the story of what's been happening to Pam and her girls.
And his purposes, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and for the next 40 minutes or so, nothing much happens.
Not really, no.
No.
Well, things do happen, but nothing happens as in happens.
Yeah, exactly. We get introduced to the record footage, the voice.
Ah, right. Now, are we skipping to the voice now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Unless you've got something else to bring up.
No, that's fine. We'll go
Okay.
for the voice. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, this is the second bit that scared the living daylights out of me. and I couldn't actually watch the whole thing. Again, it's because of Michael Parkinson. It's his fault.
Okay.
No, he's got to stop saying, "I must warn you that you might find this bit disturbing," because I was absolutely obsessed with any warning of it. 'Cause at the time, you got a lot of warnings before programs and films came on.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I had a very nervous disposition anyway, so if there was a warning came up, I instantly knew I probably didn't want to watch this, because I knew this was probably going to scare me. So yeah, Michael Parkinson. So yeah, she said, "Oh, this is when we heard the voice. Okay, well, I think we should hear the voice now. And I just need to warn you, that what you're about to listen to, some of these things, maybe a little bit distressing, whatever." And that was it. I was like, right, I'm not watching this bit because this bit's going to scare me. So I turned over, and then I turned back again, and it was still going on, and I could hear the voice, and yeah. That's when I really started getting generally upset by what I was watching, because I just found it generally terrifying. I mean, even now when I watch that that entire scene, the whole way it's done, the way the lights in the studio go down. I know you're going to mention the Pipes Watts appearance in a minute.
Yes, we are.
But obviously that as well, and then the actual sound of the voice and the sort of things when you actually make out what it's saying as well. It's really, really, really dark, and it's really, really sinister.
Do you know who did?
And I still find that scene quite unnerving now.
You know who did the voice?
Go on.
It was the director.
I did know it. I was going to say that, but I thought, oh, I never got the wrong one.
No.
Oh yeah. So it was Leslie Manning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because they actually got an actor to do the voice, and he didn't do it well enough.
Right.
So she went to a microphone and said, "I want something like this," and there you are. The rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. Well, sometimes you want something done properly, you got to do it yourself, haven't you? Really?
Oh, definitely.
Or is it in Blackadder? Kill budget before you start, but that's a different story.
Yeah, indeed.
So this was the next Pipes appearance.
Yeah, in the background of the shot. Even though I have to say, I didn't notice. I don't remember noticing any of the appearances when I watched it originally back in 1992.
I didn't.
And I have to say, when I rewatched it, I didn't know anything. I wasn't involved in the world of Ghostwatch as I am now. So I didn't know about any of these Pipe appearances.
Well, there's the main one which everyone knows of, which you see later on, but the really scary one. So on rewatches, I started spotting them.
Yeah.
And I spotted this one as well. But there are some more subtle ones I didn't spot, and they were ones that I found out about much later on when I became sort of more part of, like yourself, the Ghostwatch sort of fan community.
Yeah. Because it wasn't until I started reading, oh goodness, what was that website called many years ago? I can't remember what it was called now off the top of my head. There was this, ghostwatch.info.
Right.
And they had a list of Pipes appearances.
I imagine not a definitive list, though.
No, no, but it was actually one of the first sites on the interwebs.
On interwebs.
Yes.
On dial-up. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Was it GeoCities by any chance?
I don't honestly know.
Yeah. So it was one of the first sort of online presences of Ghostwatch interest and Ghostwatch fandom.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
So what
pretty
happens? So what happens after the voice then?
sure we get introduced to the record footage.
What footage?
Uh,
So the what footage?
no, the wreckage, the cups, the watches,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
and etc.
That's right. So straight after that bit, yeah, we go to the all the broken cups. Now there is something interesting about that. Again, there's something a very subtle thing I didn't notice, which you see later on in the program regarding broken cups.
Oh, the cups, yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know anything about it. Never noticed it until it was pointed out on Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until Ghostwatch Behind the Curtains.
Yeah, but we'll come to that, won't we?
We certainly will do. We should point out at this particular point in time that Pamela Early, the children's mother, has been sequestered away into an X-ray broadcast van.
Do you know what? I never got this bit. I just thought it was completely pointless because she doesn't do anything in it. All they did was basically just stick her outside in a truck to do nothing. I'm guessing it was maybe some sort of plot device to get rid of her for a bit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because she doesn't even take any calls.
Oh, she takes one.
Well, no, not really. She just says, "Oh yeah, you're not alone," and that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But she doesn't actually get a chance. They said, "Oh, but we'll come back to you later, Pam." She's like, "Yeah, okay, cool, cheers," and then she just sits out there for the rest of it.
Yeah, because it was peeling the onion skin. So you take the mother away, you take science away, you take this away, you take that away.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah.
But if it was a real live broadcast, it's a very rotten thing to do.
Oh, that's true.
And that's so what I'm saying from a sort of it's weird. It's a weird thing. Even though I know it's a drama and everything, I still watch it as if it is a live thing. I still immerse myself into that world for those 90 minutes. And so there is as you pointed out, a brilliant reason why that happened. But when I'm immersing myself in it, I'm kind of like, what's she doing out there? She's just sitting out there in the freezing cold.
Yes.
Yeah. So I kind of felt sorry for her a little bit,
Yes, indeed.
I thought she should have taken more calls. It would have been interesting. In fact, I'm going to campaign. I'm going to campaign for the Pam Early call-in Ghostwatch show.
Yes. I won't say what I'm thinking. I'll get back to that later.
Right. There's a lot of things we've got to come back to later. I hope you're writing a list.
Yes, I am. But we'll talk. So we've talked about the cups, and then we're introduced to Amelia Silvestri.
Ah, yeah, he's an interesting guy, isn't he? So there's a big discrepancy here, isn't there? The fact that he's in New York, it should be daytime where he is.
Yes, even though he's not in New York, he's actually around the corner.
That probably explains why it's not daytime where he is.
It probably is daytime where they were filming this, but it's
supposed to be.
Is literally just around the corner at the back of the studio.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that actor in something else as well. I've only seen him in one other thing.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Do you? It was a very short-lived program, and they did actually bring it out on DVD. It was a comedy show called Broken News.
Oh yeah.
Basically, it was 6 episodes, and it was a parody of rolling news channels, and it was between different ones throughout the show.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in that.
He was one of the American presenters on the American rolling news channel on that. It was him, and Claudia Christensen. From Babylon 5. It was them two.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I've seen him in.
Oh, cool. No, I don't even remember that.
Well, look it up sometime.
Yeah.
So Dr. Silvestri basically is poo-pooing the whole thing, saying it's all fake.
Yeah.
In a way, he was onto something, really.
Yeah, well, yes, that's true.
Not in context of the story, no, obviously not. But you know, you could. I mean, there's so many ways you can interpret Ghostwatch. You could sit there and say, well, this is a subtle hint, to say that what you're watching isn't actually real.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably isn't, but you could say that.
Yeah. So we've got sorry, as I said, he poo-poos the entire thing.
And I think he's being set up as a character you don't like. You're not meant to like him. He's meant to be the guy who completely dismisses what's going on, doesn't believe. Again, in the horror story convention, this is the character who doesn't believe the characters who the horrible stuff is happening to, and so he's the one who you end up hating. Now, in a normal horror tradition, this character would end up getting bumped off. And that's when he'd realise what was happening was real. Again, don't get anything like that for Doctor Silvestri, which is great because I love the way that it sets up these classic conventions, but it doesn't follow them through. It does, which means that the Ghostwatch doesn't become a cliche.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, we've got Media Silvestri. Then Sarah Green talked about her ghost story, which apparently was a real ghost story.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, suppose this is what supposedly really happened to her and Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though it's a very odd ghost story, I have to say, I was a little unnerved by it when I originally saw that.
Okay, cool. How so?
Yeah. Anyway, you got yeah, no, I mean, so it was the whole story of the fact that where they were staying was over in Indian burial ground, and she sees a vision of this Indian woman dancing and everything, and apparently it was a very sort of beautiful visitation, but it sounded great up to that point, but again, I was 11-year-old with an overactive imagination, so when then she mentioned, her eyes rolled up into the back of her head, and then she disappeared, that image just stayed with me, and I was like, I don't think it was the same night, but I think there was one night I was lying in bed, and I was thinking, oh my god, is this horrible face gonna with white eyes gonna pop out at me? So that was the part of the story that freaked me out. Anyway.
Oh, cool. Yeah. The problem I have these days watching Ghostwatch is that I can't actually. I was 11 years of age, so I can't actually remember what I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep coming to you.
I'm one of those strange people who actually remembers, how I felt at certain, at the time certain things happened to me, even as far back as 11.
Oh yeah. No,
I think it's because I mean this is why Ghostwatch has stayed with me, until now, and will always be with me. It's always going to be something that's part of my life because it had such an impact on me when I saw that. And I say I only saw an hour of it, but that had such an impact on me that I've never forgotten on each little bit, that happens within it, how I felt at the time. It's just stayed with. It's just it's been. And so it's nice to look at it now as an adult with a more objective point of view, and and sort of pick it apart that way. But it's also nice then to go back to, well, this is how I originally felt when I first watched it. You don't get many stories from people of how they felt or how they reacted when they saw it. No. I mean, the people will say overall what they thought of it, but not each little element.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I've left to know actually apparently it happened in a house in Gloucestershire in a little village. I'd love to know where in Gloucestershire that was, because of course I live in Gloucestershire. So I would actually love to know where that was.
Right.
But then we take the kids. Well, we take the kids up to bed. Well, we take Kim up to bed. Actually, Suzanne stays downstairs.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
We've actually missed something.
go ahead.
We have missed something. Oh,
Okay.
it's quite an important point actually. When we see the first depiction of Pipes,
Yeah.
which it's Kim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kim's basically drawn a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now out the two girls, I found Kim to be the freaky one.
Okay.
Well, not in like a, like that she's like a freak. What I mean is, in a lot of these sort of horrors or ghost films, there's always a sort of freaky kid in it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where they're reacting to the situation that they're in, actually freaked out more than the situation itself. And this is what I got with Kim in Ghostwatch. Like there's a bit where she's staring through the crack of the glory hole door, as it were, the understairs. And she's saying, he was there, he was staring at me, and instantly, there's your imagination running away, and so you're putting yourself in her shoes of what you would have seen and how you would have felt. And then she brings out the picture, and it's grotesque, and even for a picture drawn by by a young girl and everything. And I remember seeing that at the time and just thinking, well, this is horrible. This isn't the sort of ghost story I thought it was going to be. This is just like, this is grotesque.
Yeah, which causes the biggest plot hole in Ghostwatch.
Go on.
Well, Kim early shows us her picture. Okay, then all the calls are coming in saying, we've seen him. Then later on, I'm trying to remember a character's name here. Lynn Pascoe says, this. They're all matching when all the calls come in. They're all matching the description, and Dr. Lynn Pascoe says, "Well, this has never appeared in print, not one single time. We've seen the picture of it only an hour and a half ago."
Bloody good point, actually. It's never been mentioned before, apart from the fact that we saw a picture of it earlier. Yeah, good point. And they even stuck it on the fridge.
Yeah.
I love the way Sarah looks at it and goes, "Yeah, good drawing." Yes. Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's just stick it on the fridge, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah. I got to say, I don't really want a picture of Pipes on my fridge. Thank you.
No,
I'll stick it on the freezer instead. Stick it on the freezer instead, because I think the fridge, got too much on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've completely lost my place now.
I jumped back a little bit because that was a vital detail, but as you pointed out, that was also a bit of a plot hole. But from the audience point of view, this is when you get the first glimpse of Pipes.
Yeah.
Pam hasn't told her story yet, has she? When she first encountered Pipes?
No, we
haven't got that. We missed that bit as well.
We've gone way past that.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about that, you're more than welcome to.
Well, no, it's just this is when she first mentions the glory hole.
Yes.
And this is a bit of an elephant in the room, really, because people still refer to understairs as a glory hole. I've got friends who do. Unfortunately, it does have a rude meaning.
Yeah.
And so every time it's mentioned, you get a bit of a pure-eyed giggle from people.
Yeah.
Schoolboy humor and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go into that in a little bit. That I went to the 25th anniversary screening last year, but every time they mentioned it, the whole audience just went bananas. Absolutely creased up. I don't think that was intentional, but it's still funny every time. When we did the National Science thing on Twitter, it's a fun running joke.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't notice till last year, actually, is that I never noticed there's a window to outside from the glory
Yeah.
hole.
Mm.
There's a window. There's a window in the house,
Yeah.
which means the glory hole is a lot bigger. Snigger.
This is exclusive to the live podcast. This is not going to be in the actual thing.
Yeah, but it is. The room underneath the stairs is a lot bigger than they make it
Right.
out to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because as Pam describes, Pipes was in there with her, so there has to be enough room for two people.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. And then she explains, obviously, that the council thinks that they're lying, so they end up going on local television.
Yeah.
And again, a ridiculously short interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloke just says, "Do you think Pipes has come to hurt you?" "Oh, I think he's come to do terrible things, actually." "Thank you, then.
Yeah.
Bye." Yeah.
Almost
Terrible.
almost Kilroy-esque.
It was, wasn't it? It was extremely Kilroy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah. So this is what happened to you. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. We're jumping about all over the place here, but that's fine.
So the point they were making here it's an important point that people didn't believe them.
Yeah, of course.
No. And so this then ties into the story of why we've actually got what's going on. Because they've decided to take part in a BBC program to try and prove once and for all that what's been happening to them is actually real. And if you're watching this and thinking that it is actually real, then you're going along for the ride, hoping that you're going to see something.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah. Me watching it, as I said, I don't remember what I felt at the time of watching it, but on the other hand, Ghostwatch. You do expect to see a ghost at some point.
Yeah. As I said, I was thinking this would be more like a most haunted thing. Again, something that came out years and years and years after. But you would prepare yourself for the fact that, okay, maybe I'm not going to see anything. It's all going to be, it's all been set up for television. But yeah, we're probably not going to see anything happen. So when things did start happening, it comes as a bit of a shock.
Even though it was well after 9 o'clock watershed.
Yeah. But I had a TV in my room, so I was able to watch things easy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, there were probably a lot of kids at the time who had TVs in the room who were probably watching it, on their own.
I mean, that's the bigger question these days: is did the 9 o'clock watershed really exist?
Say that again, sorry.
Does the 9 o'clock watershed really exist?
Well, not now, not really.
No.
It was just different then, because we had a lot less choice in how we received programming.
Yeah.
Back in even back in 1992, you still only had 4 channels.
Yeah.
You had Sky Television, but not everyone had it. Most people just had the 4 channels, really, and not everyone had a TV in their bedroom. So yeah, it was very limited.
Yeah, I mean,
so you could have something like the 9 o'clock watershed.
Yeah, even the Vote of Horror on BBC Two on the same night as Ghostwatch, because I've got the TV listings in front of me. The Vote of Horror didn't actually start till 11 o'clock that night.
Yeah, was that Doctor Terror?
Yes, it was.
I used to love that.
Yeah.
I never used to watch the actual films. I used to just watch his introductions. But we digress.
They're all on YouTube apparently.
Oh, are they? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
I have to seek those out after this.
Yeah. But yeah, so
let's jump forward again to where we were before we went backwards.
Yeah. I've lost my place in my notes actually, but the circle on the carpet.
Because I think we got to Pam being sent outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then was this something that happened before? Well,
So we mentioned Sarah's ghost story,
that's right, Sarah's ghost story. Yeah.
and then Craig Charles outside.
Ah, yes. Okay. Um, Craig Charles is very much the comic relief in this.
No, definitely.
And again, every horror or some sort of scary story has its comic relief in it, and Craig is the one.
Oh, definitely.
And there's a very funny bit. So is this a scene where he interviews Arthur Lacey?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a bit at the start of the scene where he says, I hate Halloween. I hate little kids dressed up as the devil. And right at the end of the scene, he encounters a kid dressed up as the devil.
Yeah.
His worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So,
and of course,
go on. Sorry.
I'm going to say that you can actually see Stephen Volk in this scene.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
He's in the crowd.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you wondered, as Craig is walking up to that bit of dirt ground
Mm-hmm.
to meet Yvonne and Wendy, you've got onlookers on both sides. We've got the side that Pipes appears on later on.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of people on the other side.
Yeah.
And he's apparently in that bit there.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I was getting very worried that you were getting Stephen Vogt confused with Pipes.
No.
It's like, no, we haven't done the Pipes watch bit yet. That's good. Right. Okay. Well, when I watch that again, then I'm going to have to look out for that, because I did not know that at all.
Apparently, you can't see him that well. In fact, he's a blur.
Right. Okay. But he is there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is the bit where he pulls Arthur out of the crowd and starts talking to him.
Well, apparently we will talk to we talk to Yvonne first, and we talk.
Oh yes. I'm jumping ahead now. You're quite right. So yeah, so this is where he goes into the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
again, all this stuff they talk about is very, very dark.
Yeah.
And even for an 11-year-old, it absolutely freaked me out. The sort of things they were talking about and describing. This was not. At this point, I should have realized this is not a kids' show.
Yeah.
But it was so intriguing and fascinating that you almost couldn't stop watching, because you just want to know what's going to happen next.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So the whole story about the the dead dog.
Oh yeah. Then he pulls Arthur Lacey at the crowd, and we see Pipes again.
Yeah. Next appearance, so Pipes just in the crowd, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pipes wants to see everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see Pipes.
Yeah, and then we talked to him about needing to exercise the house, and it didn't work.
You always get this, don't you? You always get the priest or the amateur who comes in to try and exorcise the ghost, and they always completely fail.
Yeah.
So you have to have him in there, but he doesn't. We don't see it. He just talks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bit. I know that I don't want to draw too many similarities to the Enfield Poltergeist, because I think I'm not sure how much influence there was in Ghostwatch from the Enfield Poltergeist, but obviously there are a hell of a lot of similarities. And if I'm right about this, there was an attempt to exercise that house which failed. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the Enfield poltergeist,
Yeah.
and then oh goodness, bear with me one moment. The front doorbell just gone. Bear with me.
Well, in the meantime, just make a cup of tea or something. Shane will be back in a few moments. Unfortunately, this is an audio podcast, so we don't have a test card or anything. In fact, I'm not sure which camera's working here actually.
So I'm back.
Oh.
So someone forgot their key.
Autocue's still working. Oh, sorry, I was going off on one there.
So yeah, someone forgot their key. I do apologize. So yeah, talking about the Enfield poltergeist. The
Yeah.
there's the I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Who is this individual?
The Guy Ryan Playfair, the psychic consultant.
What the Enfield Party Guys guy?
Yeah, no, he was the psychic consultant on Ghostwatch.
Oh, right, okay, right. What the guy who was involved with it?
Yeah.
Maurice Gross.
No, Guy Ryan Playfair was the was I'm just trying. Oh, there we go. He was just was the consultant on Ghostwatch,
Right.
and he was actually involved in the Enfield poltergeist case.
Right, so it wasn't actually Maurice Gross himself. It was somebody else who was involved in it.
But it was him and Maurice Gross.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So yeah,
But Maurice was sort of the face of it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the Enfield poltergeist connection I was trying to find.
Yeah. Okay, so so I do remember in the Q&A last year. I think Stephen Vogt did say, well, yeah, there are a lot of similarities, but he didn't set out to basically copy the Enfield poltergeist.
Yeah.
He set out to write an original story. It just so happened that there's a lot of similarities. It's two girls that one of them gets possessed, or one of them is the focus, etc., all that sort of thing. So yeah, and it's just a single mother and all that stuff. So yeah.
But yeah. So talked about the priest. Then he bumps into Craig Child bumps into two kids, but were immediately taken away from that back to the house because of the circle on the carpet.
Yes, so this is the first instant of something happening in the house.
Yeah.
And this is not fakery from Craig this time. This is actually something. Yeah.
In the house. Yeah.
Now this bit I was tempted to turn off. I mean, it's just crazy, just a mark in the carpet. But it was just, I was just like, oh, I don't think I can take any more of this. Even just that was enough, to make me go, oh my god, this is real.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I say, as an 11-year-old, I had a very overactive imagination, and I would literally believe anything I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing, of course, is you worry it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we see the thing. They investigate it, and then we have a bit of a jump scare.
Oh yes. Yep.
Yeah. With Suzanne
staying at the door.
Yeah, and she's feeling a bit under the weather, so Sarah goes to get some water at the tap. Where's their mother?
Oh, she's still outside, isn't she?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
she's outside not taking calls.
yeah, so you can see
I
the
imagine
monitor.
that I imagine she's having a cup of tea or something.
Yeah, she's not. She can see the monitor. She's not seeing her kids not feeling very well, and she's taking this up to relative stranger.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, but she gets to speak to her though by the magic of television.
yeah. Well, that was
It's never explained how they can actually hear each other. But there we go.
no.
No, I'm guessing maybe that she's following what's happening inside the house
Yeah,
from everyone's microphones.
yeah. So yeah, so yeah. But we have a bit of a water splash, and um, then everyone goes upstairs, and then we get introduced to I think your favorite bit of the entire show, I believe.
Is it what I think it is?
I believe so.
Is it the call?
Let me just double check in my notes. Yes, it is.
It's a phone. It's a very famous phone call.
Yes,
Yeah.
from Mr.
Now
Kevin.
I'm talking about comic relief here, Mr. Kevin Tripp. I just want to
Yeah.
say that I am the founding member and the only member of the Kevin Tripp Appreciation Society. This society launched a couple of years ago on Twitter. Nobody else has joined, but I don't mind because it's a great appreciation society to be part of by yourself.
You're actually on Twitter, are you?
Eh?
Is actually on Twitter, are you?
Oh, well, no, not the Appreciation Society. No, it was just mentioned.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
I should set up an account for it, though. You're quite right.
Yeah, it's good to see.
No, it was just during one of the national saints. We were watching it, and I said, I'm going to start the Kevin Tripp Appreciation Society. And I think every year I mention it. I've never actually done it. It's just.
Oh, you should.
Should, yeah. I better get a few members, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you after this is done. Then I'll set up a Facebook page.
Oh, definitely.
and a Twitter account. There you go.
Oh, definitely. But yeah. So you want to describe Mr. Kevin Tripp?
Sorry, go on.
I bet you want to describe Mr. Kevin Tripp?
He's Welsh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like Craig Charles, he's a bit of comic relief from all because again, things are starting to happen, so we need a little something to take us out of it a bit.
Yeah.
And according to Parky, he's been on the homebrew, and his call is a hoax. So basically, he was sitting there, and he had a sandwich, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is it a cheese and pickle sandwich? Was it?
Something like that. Yeah, I haven't actually wrote that down, surprisingly.
Cheese and pickle sandwich it was, he says, in his Welsh accent. I'm not even going to attempt the Welsh accent, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And then the plate just jumped off the sofa or whatever it was, and it just jumped off as if it had a mind of its bloody own. It did.
Yes.
And his mates, they went white. They did.
Yes.
And then I think he starts like muttering something to his mates in the background, doesn't he? And then Parker's like, "Yep, okay, Kevin. Yep, yeah, all right, yeah, great, yeah, okay," humouring him, and then sort of says, "Yeah, I think we, homebrew time. I think I think we should have expected that, really." And then the brilliant bit where he just goes, "But serious calls, please."
Yes. Well, we've got time for one other call. I think. No, we don't. We've got to go back to the house.
Oh, that is just typical television, isn't it? Oh no, we haven't got time for that. We've got to go back over there.
Yeah. At this point, everything starts hitting the fan.
It does, and it snowballs quite quickly.
Yeah, and it's because at the moment, we're almost an hour into, we're almost 2/3 of the way into the show. And it actually basically turns into almost a breaking news program.
Yeah. A very early version of.
Yeah. And so we get rushed back to the house, and we hear banging.
Yep.
And then we famously, unfortunately, Charisse Weston, the actress who's playing Kim Early, bangs her head.
Yes.
Yeah, poor
Sort of
girl.
stormtrooper style.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
yeah,
But again, it just adds to the realism of it, doesn't it?
yeah,
But so I'm guessing her reaction was genuine.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then
But it kept it in, and it keeps it real.
yeah, and then so as we rush downstairs, and we see Pipes again.
No, is this the kitchen appearance? The
Yeah,
in the double door windows thingy.
yeah.
But of course, you have a bit of well, you have a bit of a fake out before that, don't you? Really, because the cat,
Oh yeah.
there's a cat,
The cat is
and
there,
that's again a really significant connection to Pipes, which you find out later.
yeah,
Yeah. So there's a cat. Well,
yeah,
first of all, there's drawings and stuff all over the floor.
yeah,
So yeah, something's been going on there.
yeah,
Then there's the cat, scares
yeah,
the absolute bejesus out of Sarah, and
yeah,
then she gets up, and then very subtly you see a reflection
yeah.
of
In the
Pipes
background.
in the background in the window,
Yeah,
and even now, even though we know it's coming, it's
yeah,
just so well timed. The timing
yeah,
is excellent.
yeah.
I think it's one of the it's not my favorite appearance. My favorite appearance is coming up, but it's definitely I'd say it's my second favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to when I watched this with a few friends when they brought it out in 2002.
Yeah.
They never saw the original broadcast, but they knew about it.
Okay.
They knew it was a drama.
Yeah.
But these bits where Pipes obviously, pops out, as it were, jumps
Yeah.
out at you, it made them jump every single time, even though they knew it wasn't real, and they were expecting these things to happen. Made them
Yeah.
jump every single time. So yeah, the timing worked.
Nice. Nice. Then we hear some more banging. So Sarah rushes upstairs.
Yes, so it's banging from upstairs basically at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. And we find out that it isn't Pipes who's banging the pipes.
No.
No, it's actually Suzanne banging the pipes.
Yep, Suzanne. Oh no! And this is the point where we think the whole thing has been a hoax.
Exactly. But before we get there, we see the camera pan.
Yeah.
And pan down. That is something that camera could not do.
So you have to kind of suspend disbelief a little bit here.
Well, I don't know how many people knew about that at the time.
I imagine people didn't.
No.
So you can get away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Nor did I, actually.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look into these things, you're like, oh, well, that's just bloody fake, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. So at this stage we're almost an hour into the show, and we think what we've seen is a complete fake. It's a complete hoax.
And this is a fake out in itself, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's suggested that this whole thing has been created by Pipes to throw him off the track, as it were.
Yeah.
So at this point, you could say the plot thickens.
Yeah. Indeed.
I mean, there is a very linear narrative running through this whole program. Even though you got all the elements of the live television and everything else, it is following this classic narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is now the spanner in the work part of the story, where it goes off at a slight tangent before coming back again.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we get to Silvestri come on and go told you so.
Yeah, indeed. But we do get we see before we get there, we do see Suzanne and Kimmy downstairs, and at this point the mother does come back in. She's only been outside for about half an hour.
Oh, she finally decides to come back in at this point.
Yes.
Notice how she didn't rush in when before that.
Yeah.
She didn't rush in when all the banging was going on and Sarah's
Yeah.
running around the house. No.
Yeah. I know. And then we do see Sylvester again, and he said, "Well, I told you so."
Yep. Primetime television. Alice in Wonderland couldn't take it anymore. End of illusion.
Exactly. Indeed. Then we see the second of our two Vox Pops.
We haven't really talked about these much, have we?
No, there's only two of them, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And they were real, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
They were real. So the first one was where this guy is discovering the spit on his shoe.
Yeah.
And then he discovers human excrement smeared all over his
Yeah.
all over his bathroom or something. Yeah, and it was like really disgusting, whatever it was. Yeah. Again, really grotesque stuff in this. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I always thought ghosts were kind of like woo sort of things. I didn't realize that some of these ghost stories you hear are extremely grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the second one, which you don't hear the end of, if I'm right.
No. Because that pixelated face that we see in the first one, that pixelated effect that we saw was actually quite new at the time.
Yeah.
The second person that we saw is the name of Law that we saw in the piece. Her last name is I don't want to mispronounce it, but it's Kyffin, Kyffin.
Okay, yeah.
And she gets interviewed actually in the amazing Ghostwatch Behind the Curtain book by Richard Lorden.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and there's a very very brief interview where they actually finish off the story.
So yeah, you finally get the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, come on then, mate. Put us out of our misery. How does it end? Or have you got to buy the book?
I'm going to get you to buy the book.
You got to buy the book. Oh,
buy the book. The one of the juicy danglers.
To be fair, I haven't bought the book yet, so I need to do that.
Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. That's on my Christmas list.
Yes. You can buy the book at.
Go on then, advertising time.
Yeah, exactly. You can buy the book at.
Did Rich say for all the show? Get a plug-in, yeah.
At lulu.com. That's lulu.com.
And the link will also be attached to the show notes when we put out the podcast as well.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you can. Yes, it's lulu.com/shop/Rich-Lorden/Ghostwatch- Behind the Curtains/paperback. You should be able to find it there.
Yes, because you can't get the DVD anymore.
No, you can't. Not for the moment.
Not for the moment. I think they're planning to bring it back out in some format, aren't they?
They're planning to bring it back out on Blu-ray, I believe. But you want to talk? Yeah.
I know there was a poll about it, but I didn't know a result for that yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Indeed. Anyway, we've been talking about this show for well over an hour and a half.
I know.
So we need to wrap this up, my friend.
Okay, so we can always put this out in 2 parts,
Yeah, that's true.
We've still got quite a lot to go through yet, so let's crack on. Let's crack on.
Yeah,
we can cut all the waffle out anyway.
Yeah, we can. So it introduced Laura, who gets then that tape freezes, and then we get introduced to this mystery, to this anonymous woman.
Yeah. So this is the call that comes through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Introduces
This
us.
is this when you first hear the beginnings of the real story.
No, I think
Well,
this is the point in the story where it's the panic woman.
oh shit, yeah, sorry. This is where I switched off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so go on then.
So the big we have a big glass table, and my husband just laid one finger on it and it smashed. The paramedics have just left, and Michael Parkinson says, "Well, it's Halloween. Kids have had a scare. You know, to be honest with you, they should be in bed by now. It's well past 9 o'clock watershed."
This way mentioned the watershed. It has to have been a hint to say your kids shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah.
Send them to bed.
Yeah.
And this is the bit where I actually did turn off. I got to listen to Michael. You know, he knows what he's talking about. This bloke. You know. But yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be watching this. You know.
Yeah. This is just it. All of our clocks have stopped.
Do you know what I did when she said that?
What?
I looked at my clock.
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely convinced myself that it had stopped, even though it hadn't. I was so rolled up by the whole thing. I really convinced myself that my clock had stopped.
Yeah. And
then I think she mentioned that they won't take their eyes off the television screen.
Yeah.
Which is a very freaky image. It's almost it's almost poltergeist, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're here.
They're here. Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah. So Michael Parkinson basically says, "Don't have secrets tonight. The things that we're talking about are not very common at all. Yada yada yada."
Yeah. Basically, the Crime Watch disclaimer.
Yeah.
Don't have nightmares. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chance of these things happening to you are exceedingly remote. But if you have any ghost stories, do ring in.
Yes. And then we see some university footage at this stage, and this is and we go back to what I was talking about earlier on about his Kim talking on tape about what pipes is like, and then Dr. Pascoe is saying, "Well, this is exactly what he's been getting on the phones. You know, it's not appeared in one single time."
Yeah. Well, it has.
Yeah,
we know that now.
Yeah.
God, you've absolutely totally ruined Ghostwatch for me now.
I'm sorry.
I can't watch that ever again without getting angry. Thanks, mate. Why did you have to bring that one up? Eh? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Do you know what I mean?
And then we go back to the house, and
Sorry, before you carry on, I just want to point out at this point I had switched off. Okay, so that point where that Panic Woman came on, I switched off at that point because I was just terrified, couldn't watch any more of it. So everything we're talking about now, I did not see on the night. I watched it, in retrospect when I got it on video.
Yeah,
and so carry on.
At this stage, things are moving quite quickly. I mean, we've had 45 minutes worth of nothing much happening. It's just basically set up.
Well, it's slow build up, yeah.
Yeah, and now
suddenly, boom.
Yeah, and it's happened all of the time.
This is very clever though, because it happens exactly how Dr. Pascoe describes it. She says we can go for weeks with nothing happening.
Yeah,
and then suddenly it's like being in a war zone.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it happens. It just happens on the same night.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we hear some cats and we're taking it back upstairs.
Do you know what? Even now, the sound of the cats gets under my skin.
Mm.
Well, and of course, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, what kind of annoys me, though, is that when Kim comes back down the stairs to get everybody upstairs, if you know what I mean, if you follow what I'm saying, and she says, "What's wrong with Susie?" But they've seen it multiple times. You know, we've seen pictures of it earlier in the show.
So earlier in the show, they show pictures of scratch marks on her face.
Yeah. So,
or lesions, as they say. You know.
So for Kim to for Kim to say, "So what's wrong with Susie?" But they've seen it multiple times. So even though they should, being used to it is the wrong terminology.
Not used to it though. I mean, it's obviously you it's happened before, but when it does happen, it's a shock because it's obviously horrible.
Yeah. But to say that what's wrong with it, even though it's happened before, you know what I mean, doesn't quite seem right, if you know what I mean.
Sure. But then once they pull back the covers and reveal what's happened, you know, it's like, oh God, you know. I mean, it really is kicking off now.
Yeah.
Right in front of our eyes, you know.
Yeah.
And I do love when it goes to Parker. He says, if you've just tuned in for the next program, we are staying with this because the events are so remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Just adds again to that little bit extra sense of realism.
Yeah,
you know, that what you're watching is live. That actually it was meant to finish pretty soon. It's going to wrap up, you know, and it's as you said, it's almost turned into breaking news.
Yeah,
they're going to stick with this for as long as it goes on.
Yeah, because there's a line at the start saying that we'll be back with live updates throughout the night.
Oh, I want to see those updates. I really want to see those updates. It's such a shame we didn't have those. It's like, every hour it's like, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning. Yep, still national seance. 3 o'clock in the morning. Yep, everyone's still possessed.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get in. So at that particular point in time, where we break away from the house for about 5 minutes to take a phone call.
I know, because we've obviously got time for that.
Yes,
but it is an important phone call, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what Mike Smith breaks it in and said, you need to take this phone call right now.
Take it right now. Yeah. So is this when we start being told the story?
Yeah.
Though this isn't quite the true story, but it's the start of a much sort of layered story, as it were.
Yeah, indeed. We get we get a phone call from a woman this time. And again, it's the director who's speaking on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did know that.
Yeah. And then, so we get a bit of detail of the house, and that sort of stuff. Then we go back to the house.
Well, she tells the story of Mother Seddons, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does.
Which is a very important point. This is a very important plot point.
Definitely.
Yeah. So obviously, in a nutshell, Mother Seddons was a baby minder, baby farmer. Yeah. Who drowned babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, there we go.
Yeah.
And she lived there.
Yeah.
Like centuries ago.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Then we get cut back to the house, and everyone is. They've decided to get the kids out of the house.
A pretty good idea at this point, I think.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, Parky comes in and says, "Well, I think we're going to wrap the program up here."
Yeah, but before we get back to Parky again, we actually see Pipes. Is one of his most famous pieces.
Well, it is, and it is. As I said, this is my favourite.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how many times I see it. I just love it every single time. I love the way it's edited.
Yeah.
The fact that you see him and then the camera suddenly pans back and he's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a blink and miss it moment.
Yeah.
And again, if you saw that first time, there might have been two of you sitting on the sofa, one of you saying, "Did you see that?" and the other one going, "No, what was that?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also mentioned my friends watching it with me in 2002, absolutely terrified by it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They absolutely screamed at that bit. They literally screamed when that bit happened.
Yeah.
And it was very funny to watch, two guys in their early 20s screaming like girls.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to happen because I've seen it before. But just to see their reaction, which is priceless.
Yeah.
And when I went to see the 25th anniversary screening, I imagine most people sitting there in that auditorium had seen it before,
Yeah.
but there was still gaps at that moment. So it still has that element of surprise today.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
yeah, a classic moment, a memorable moment of Ghostwatch, one that you just don't forget.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
I mean, what do you remember how you reacted when you originally saw that?
I don't know. I don't actually. No, I don't. I mean, that there is a thing. Bear with me one minute.
And we have another intermission, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, this will all be cut out of the podcast that does end up going out. I'm afraid I don't know any jokes. Otherwise, I'd tell
So,
a few.
there we go. So they were on the phone downstairs. I can hear them. So I told them to
Yeah,
be
no,
quiet.
I had a few things. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
No worries. Cool.
So yeah. So I was 17. I was. This was. I literally just bought the DVD at this point. So this we're talking. I must have been 19. I think.
Yeah.
19. Yeah. Yeah. I went to rent to a friend's house, and it was a 17th birthday party.
Right.
So I decided, well, they were a bit too young to remember Ghostwatch,
Mm.
by a couple of years, and then so I sort of stick it on, because of course they knew Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, and that sort of stuff, but they obviously knew it wasn't real, because obviously I stuck the DVD on.
Yeah.
But when it got to that point, Ollie, my friend, who was at his birthday party, had to run out the room.
Doesn't it give you great pleasure seeing those sort of reactions from people?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And in a way, I'd love to sit down and watch it with someone who hasn't seen it before again, just to just to see how they react to it.
Oh, definitely.
But as you said, yeah, it's a classic moment. Yeah, one of the sort of best moments of the entire thing.
Oh, definitely.
So and this is the point where Kim was basically saying, Pipes wants to see everybody. Look,
yeah.
everyone wants to see Pipes.
Yeah. And so we've got everybody at. So we've got everybody.
Sorry, so before you carry on, I think this is a really, really good point, a really good part to talk about the figure behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Because we haven't quite gone into that. We sort of skipped over it earlier.
Okay.
Very quickly. So they did actually bring the footage forward in the end.
Yeah.
And they watched it, and you do see a figure.
Yeah.
Behind the curtain. You didn't see that in the original footage at all. You just see it in this footage.
Yeah.
And then they bring along as Parky calls it, a sophisticated piece of technology in order to draw the outline.
Yes.
It's great how they have these things to hand, isn't it? For one purpose,
Yeah.
And then I think they cut back to it, and you can only see I think you see nothing, and then I think you cut back to it, and then you see a more faint image rather than.
Yes.
Or was it more? No, I think it is more faint, isn't it? Deliberately.
Yeah.
And then she draws a little. Yeah. Draws the outline of it, and then it's like, well, yeah, actually, yeah, it's just like putting a dressing gown on the back of the door and seeing a human form.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And at that point, say, well, I'm very sorry, but yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but you were seeing things.
Yeah.
But as I've said so many times in this podcast, if you didn't have the opportunity to watch that back, you're going to start questioning whether you've actually seen something or not. So
definitely.
That really works for a program that's never going to be shown again.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So anyway, we reveal at this point there really was something behind the curtains, because there he is standing there.
Yeah.
And I think he also breathed down Sarah's neck in the bathroom as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is still a really freaky moment, because you don't see anything, you just hear it. And that bit still unnerves me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're trying to get everybody at the house
Yep.
We cut back to the studio just for a moment to see the absolute panic that's going on in the call center.
Lots and lots of calls coming in, but funnily enough, not about what they're seeing.
No.
It's more about the fact that people around the country are now experiencing their own paranormal experiences.
Yeah.
They mentioned earlier in Ghostwatch that part of the course is your watches stopping.
Yeah.
The crew, their watches stop.
Yeah.
I was convinced that my watch has stopped. Again, yeah. So people's watches have stopped. Was it someone's microwave is pinging repeatedly? It probably means that his dinner's ready.
Yes.
That's probably all it is. People's pets are acting up throughout the show. That's really clever because people's pets act up for no reason anyway. And so you're automatically going to have some sort of confirmation bias where people are going to see their pets acting up and immediately connect it to, oh, it must be something paranormal.
Yeah.
What was it? Someone's dad was making glasses break. Sounds like he's just a clumsy bloke, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So of course, Parky's obviously, writing all this stuff off and saying, well, yeah, let's just focus on what's going on at the house, shall we?
Yeah. So we do cut back to the house, and we're starting to lose the transmission. The picture's not the greatest. Then we hear some banging going on, and then the picture comes off the wall.
That's right. That's a setup for something that happens a bit later, isn't it? The picture. It's quite important.
Yeah, the picture comes off the wall, and of course how they did that was literally just drill a hole through the wall.
And then just poke
the picture through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is an old tried and tested technique. I remember years ago I worked backstage for a production of Sleuth, and there was a bit where they had to shoot these plays. Obviously, they weren't going to shoot them for real. So what we did is we pre-broke them and then put them back together again, so you couldn't see, where they were broken, and then we just poked them with sticks from behind.
Yeah.
And it created the same illusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, tried and tested, and it always works.
Yeah.
Don't need wires.
No, definitely not. And then we've got Suzanne talking as the ghost.
So people say speaking in tongues, but not really speaking in tongues. She's actually saying, she's actually speaking in English.
Yeah.
It's a very sort of exorcist moment, really. But yeah, she's saying the nursery rhyme that pipes, says throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Round the garden and all that.
Yeah. And she's saying how much,
Oh no, she's not. No, she's not. I'm jumping ahead here. She's saying what big eyes you have, isn't she?
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm getting myself mixed up.
It's still a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, she is nursery rhyme, but it's not round in the garden.
Yeah.
So she's basically saying what big eyes you have, but again, this has a connection.
Yeah. So Sarah goes off to find Kim, who's disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Playing hide and seek.
Yeah, and Suzanne says, "Get out if you don't want to be here. I hate you." She said that's to her mother.
Yeah. That's a really powerful moment. That is,
Yeah.
It's almost like it is basically not just the situation coming to a head; that their actual relationships have come to a head as well.
Yeah.
At this point, everything's just completely broken down, and Pipes has just now totally taken over.
Yeah.
So you know that we are hurtling towards a climax now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that just struck me on every single rewatch now is that we see Suzanne just wandering off, and that's the last time we see her on the show.
Yeah, good point. It is, isn't it?
Mm.
You hear her, but you don't see her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you've got Pamela on the floor crying in her hands, and we've got
Yeah,
Suzanne just wandering off,
yeah.
and that's the last
And
time we
that is
see her.
it. That's the
Yeah,
last
that is it.
appearance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Don't notice things like that, do you?
No.
No.
But Sarah does find Kim hiding behind the refrigerator,
Hmm.
and then we hear some scratches.
Yeah, and
And
there's also the eyes, isn't there? She's
yeah,
um
eyes
the,
from
the
eyes from the bunny.
toy bunny. Yeah,
Yeah,
which she's pulled off. Yeah,
yeah,
which is it's very significant. You find out obviously what all the significance of this is.
yeah,
But obviously that goes back to Suzanne saying what big eyes you have and all that. You know,
yeah,
so it's all connected, and it's
yeah.
Which point did we see the mugs in the kitchen broken?
Oh, that was quite long ago. That was actually
We have gone past that, haven't we?
we've gone way past that. Yeah,
Yeah, but what we were saying earlier is that yeah, they looked at the broken crockery and stuff like that, and including mugs. You see the mugs normal, obviously at the start of the show, and then a bit later they're broken. Yeah, obviously
basically,
to show that that Pipes has been there.
yeah. When we basically when Pam Early comes back into the house after this, well, basically when we have that big fake out and we think Suzanne's behind everything,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
get back to the house, and Pam Early comes running in, and then Michael Parkinson says, this has all been a big fake out. This, yada yada yada, hoax, 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 hoax.
yeah,
And then the camera pans back to Sarah just before we cut back to the studio, and we see on the rack behind, we see all the mugs broken.
yeah, yeah. To show that it's not fake after all, there is something going on. They just haven't noticed it yet. Yeah,
yeah, indeed.
yeah. But I never noticed that until it was pointed out to me. But
Yeah,
it's just those little subtle things they put in it, and there's so many things to go back and spot. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, oh, definitely. So we've got the so we've got this sounds coming from the glory hole, and they undo the glory hole.
Yeah. Is it, what's his name? Is it the sound man?
So man, his name is. I've got the entire cast in front of me. Mike Aton.
It's Mike. Yeah.
Mike. Yeah. Mike and Chris.
Yeah, that's right, Mike and Chris. So Mike opens the door.
Yeah.
And it opens very slowly, and then you see a glimpse.
Yeah.
Of Pipes behind the door.
Yeah.
Only at that moment, the mirror smashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the head. Yeah.
Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't see the mirror smash. We just hear. Well, literally just hear the. We just hear the after effects, and we see the after effects.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, Mike is lying out cold.
Yeah.
Quite badly injured at this point.
And we hear.
So it's getting very dangerous now. Yeah.
And we hear
it's turning into this war zone that it's turning into war zone that Pasco described earlier.
Yeah, and we hear Suzanne screams.
That's right. It gets really sort of horrible at this point, doesn't it?
It's ridiculous. And then we've got and then we cut. Then we lose transmission in the house.
Yeah, a real crucial moment. So you hear literally Suzanne screaming, "Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Leave me alone!" And all that stuff, and then boom, gone.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, right, okay. So we've got no idea now what's going on inside the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And at this point in real life, this was quite a pivotal moment.
yeah,
Because the producer, Ruth Bangarten, decided to spend the evening at Television Centre because of the they play about with the fact that the transmission and there's a screen cap
mm,
there. She wanted to be at Television Centre to make sure they realise it's not an actual proper using transmission thing, and it is
sure,
part of the storyline.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
without that being there, there would be no reason for her to be at Television Centre.
of course, yeah,
So she wouldn't. She wouldn't be running around like a headless chicken. Because of course, at this particular point in at this particular point in time, thousands of people are calling into the BBC
oh yeah, yeah.
to try and get through to the number. So if that wasn't there, she wouldn't have been there to try to sort out the mess that the programmer created.
Again, an unintentional mess. This was supposed to be a Scream One drama,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and no one realised this. People were rigging in. People thought it was real. It really did cause a mass panic at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who don't even, who don't remember at the time, who weren't there at the time, just could have no possible idea of how much of a panic this must have caused on the night.
Oh, definitely.
It's incredible, really. I mean, it's never happened since. I don't think with anything, but yeah, it's one of the big reasons why Ghostwatch has become, notorious, and quite an incredible event for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is Brass Eye Peter Geddon.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when that was broadcast, and it it did cause a bit of a stir.
Yeah.
I think it would actually cause more of a stir now than it did back then.
Yeah.
Because we're a lot more liberal back then than now, where things are going at the moment. I think that would cause a lot more controversy now than it did back then.
Yeah. But yeah,
but Ghostwatch though, Ghostwatch you couldn't repeat, simply because of the way television was made at the time. It's just completely different now. And I said, like we said earlier, the access we have to things is different.
Yeah.
So you just couldn't do something like that now. You could do it, but it would be a drama. People wouldn't panic, And we've had things like Most Haunted now since anyway, and people just don't believe any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we cut to Craig and Ellen DeMaster. Yeah.
Another comedy moment.
They say there's nothing going on in the house. And we're thinking, we're actually thinking to ourselves, why are they thinking that?
I'm guessing they just have not been following what's been going on inside the house at this point.
No, because there's the banks of monitors in the LB unit.
Yeah.
But we kind of realise we know that they haven't been following it because the TVs are out.
Yeah, they can't actually see what's going on.
You can't see what's going on because we see people are trying to repair the TVs.
Yeah. So from their point of view, there's nothing happening. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And again, you've had this in so many horror films where you cut to the action, all this stuff is happening, and then it cuts to somebody on the outside going, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just the contrast of the two things.
Yeah.
But also, it does give the audience a bit of relief at this point because it's been so, bang, 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 and tense at this point that it would just it's a little bit of comic relief with Craig Charles, but also with Alan Demescu, you've got this
Headless Horseman.
Yeah, you've almost got this moment. Well, not just that, you've got this moment of everything's okay for the moment, and everything's just gone a bit ordinary again. For the little moment before the real stuff really starts happening again.
Yeah,
and it just gives you a bit of a break.
Yeah, and then we cut back to the house, and everything's fine. Surprisingly.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the this is basically what I've always referred to as the speed moment.
Yeah,
This is basically the speed technique. Obviously, speed came out a couple of years after.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So basically, they go back to what they think is a live feed, and
yeah,
everything's all back to normal. Just one problem: the picture's on the wall again.
yes,
Yep.
yeah, and
But we'll come to that.
yeah. Then we get another phone call.
Is this the most important phone call of the night?
Yeah, well, this is the last phone call of the night.
Yeah. So this is the big. This is basically the big reveal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go on.
No, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, no, go on. Go on.
Okay, it's a man who tells us everything that's going on about the fact that uh, uh, you know had trapped himself under the stairs with a lathe and turned it on, and got trapped in there with all his cats, and the cats started doing what they do best, and they started eating.
Yeah. So he tells the story of who Pipes really is.
Yeah,
The guy who lived in the house.
yeah.
Um, oh, was it with his uncle and aunt? I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
Basically, the place was sublet to him, so it
Yeah,
wasn't the records that he lived there. It
yeah,
was Raymond Tunstall, and he
yeah,
was a very sick, he was a very sick, twisted individual, basically.
yeah,
Yeah. So he'd been done for like child molestation and all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Um, and so he was a very sick man, and he imagined that there was a lady trying to take him over, and he started wearing dresses and all that stuff.
yeah.
He also kept a lot of cats, and he killed himself in was it in the basement?
No,
Oh,
he
oh,
killed himself where he kept all his tools in the cupboard
oh,
underneath
yeah,
the
yeah,
bed.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He killed himself by hanging himself on a lathe.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it, yeah. And of course, he was stuck in there with all the cats, and the cats got
yeah,
hungry after 12 days and started gnawing away at his face.
yeah,
Or as the guy puts it, he says they got to work on his
yeah,
face. Which
yeah,
I don't know about you, but every time I see that bit, a chill just goes down my spine. It's
yeah,
and I think it was meant to be like that. The lights dim and everything else. I think Stephen Vogt said that this is the campfire story moment, the bit
yeah,
where you have the big reveal, but it is told in the style of the of somebody with a torch under their chin,
yeah,
telling the true ghost story of what's really been happening.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should point out two things that take me out of this little scene.
Okay.
Well, number one, the fact that Mike Smith jumps between shots.
Yeah. No, I think you've mentioned this to me in private conversation.
Yes.
Mm.
There's a,
So
well, literally, Mike Smith is in the bank of the phones, and then literally a second later, he's teleported to the back of the bank of the back of the bank of the phones.
well, what's wrong with that?
Yes.
No, I'm just saying if he teleported, then obviously it means Ghostwatch is not just a ghost story; it's also a sci-fi.
No, that's true. That's very
Yeah,
true.
he just teleported, man. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah. So basically, it's a continuity error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that takes obviously because you've seen it now. You notice it every time you watch it.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. And what's the other thing that takes you out of it then?
The during the phone call, it's the big, long, sweeping crane shot that starts at the top of the studio
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and works its way down to the almost two shot.
I suppose you're right because at this point, this is done for sort of dramatic purposes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's because it's meant to be the big the big reveal as it all and everything else, and so they've got to create this atmosphere, this mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it goes from being a mock live program to it actually being, what it is, a drama.
Yeah.
Personally, though, I like it, because it to me it just sets the mood, and it takes us towards the the sort of big finale, as it were. This is basically the setup to the finale.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So we've got. So after that phone call, Pascal realizes what's going on, and the fact that that they've been fooled, and the ghost is in the machine.
The ghost is in the machine. Incidentally, that happened to me one night. The ghost being in the machine. One of the nights I was going to be watching Ghostwatch. I put the DVD on, and it didn't work.
Oh wow!
I don't believe in ghosts, so I think it's just because my DVD player was faulty. But it's just a nice coincidence that I had a ghost in the machine that night. Yeah, it amused me.
Cool.
Yeah. But so, yeah, basically, she notices the picture is on the wall again. So what they're actually watching is they're not watching a live feed. They're basically watching an older footage, possibly on loop.
Yeah.
Like in Speed, when the bus is going round and round in circles, and then they got this footage on loop, and Dennis Hopper's character only notices that he's been fooled because this woman's hand moves slightly. To show where the cut is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what happens in Speed. So that's how he finds out.
I haven't seen Speed in years.
Sorry?
I haven't seen Speed in years.
Well, that's basically what it is. In this case, it's the picture on the wall. So because this isn't live, this isn't happening now. At this point, Parker's like, well, what is happening now? To which I think we have a sort of a barrage of sort of previous images in slow motion. I think
we certainly do. We certainly do.
Which I was again that because it just sort of comes out the blue. It made me jump when I originally saw that bit. I was like,
Even though it does turn into, and it happened several years later. It reminds me of something that happened in How Did They Do That?
Oh, right.
How Did They Do That was a not a documentary. It was basically a BBC television program on how things are made.
Yeah, I remember it. Was it Eamon Holmes?
It was. But we're earlier than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was the series you're talking about was Eamon Holmes and Esther McVeigh, current Tory minister.
Right.
But before then, it was Jenny Hull and Des Lynam.
Oh, okay. So this is going back a bit.
Yeah, and at the end of the first episode of the second season, the entire studio got flooded.
Right.
And you see you see all the water coming in and that sort of stuff, and the audience quite literally being washed away.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where for a moment it looked real, but then it didn't.
I think I remember that. And didn't they show the next week how it was all done?
Yeah. And this particular moment where all the wind blowing through the studio reminds me of that.
Yeah. Okay. So we're onto the wind now.
Yeah.
This is the bit that takes it out of it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it does for most people. I don't like it. I never have done. I mean, I know it's supposed to represent the fact that it's a national séance and everything's there everywhere is all it's all been taken over by the spirits and the supernatural and everything. So naturally, what do you associate with that? Oh, a blowing wind, and so I know for dramatic purposes you have that in there. It's just you got Michael Parkinson sitting there, going, there's a wind in the studio in this sort of matter of fact way, as if it's slight inconvenience, but nothing too out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Everything was brilliant and tense up to this point, and then it just, the wind in the studio for me is just a little bit comical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have done without it, but I mean, the cup smashing by itself and all that thing, and obviously in a bit later we have all the lights and everything blowing up and everything.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Just
And
so
actually, when you got the wind blowing outside, that's okay.
Mhm.
But in the studio, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch that on the night, so I have no idea how I'd have reacted. More than likely, I would have probably swallowed it,
Yeah.
because I believed everything I watched. Then I believed everything I saw was real on television. So, but yeah, when I watched that in 2002, finally caught up with the ending and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, that's yeah. I don't think that's dated very well.
No, I don't think so either.
But there are some elements of Ghostwatch that haven't dated that well. That bit, and also the intro.
Really?
Do
Expand?
you remember remember the intro?
Yeah.
So after you have the bedroom footage, it then
Yeah.
cuts to the BBC loading up and everything, and then driving down the motorway, and then you have all the lights come on and shining over the people, and then it just says Ghostwatch.
Mhm.
To me, that has dated a little bit. It's very
Of
very
its time.
90s.
Yeah.
It's very
Of its time.
90s. It's very nice. Got the music and everything. It's very, very 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that. I don't actually remember that from first time round. But when I watched it, in 2002, even then, 10 years later, it had dated, and I was just like, that's a bit cheesy. But a very, very small moment of what is an incredible piece of television.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was just, if you're talking about being taken out of it, it's those two bits that take me out of it. But if you chop those bits out, the rest of it, is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got the wind blowing to this studio, and
this is the point where obviously Pascoe says we've created a national seance.
Yeah.
This is where the phrase national seance sort of first turns up.
Yeah. And we cut back to the house, and we finally see the police car turning up.
Like you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what they can do. They're not exactly Ghostbusters, are they?
No. And we see also for the first time that there's a big window where the glory hole would be.
Yeah. But all they do is take Kim and Pam off, and that's it, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Craig gets his dramatic moment, doesn't he? Leaning over the car,
Yeah.
as if, everything's just gone wrong. Oh God,
Yeah.
oh God. Nice dramatic moment there for Craig.
Yeah. And then we're finally actually inside the house, and we see the infrared camera.
Yes. So earlier they played with the infrared, didn't they? Outside.
Yeah.
Just basically saying nothing can hide in the shadows.
Yeah.
It'll pick up everything with the heat sensors.
Yeah.
And now it's used to proper effect at this point. Like I said, there's a lot of things where you say things don't really happen in Ghostwatch, but they're all setting up, to all these points that come up later on.
Yeah.
And I still find this scene extremely unnerving for the simple reason that you can't quite really make out what's going on. So you're there with them, you're sort of in the dark with them, and doesn't matter who you are. You know, if you're in a situation like that, you're afraid of the dark. You know, especially if you've got pipes. You know, who's going to jump at you at any moment.
Definitely.
You know, you are there with them for that scene, and you can you can see about as much as they can, and it and from that point of view, it's really well done.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going around the house trying to find Suzanne, and they can't seem to find her.
No. Yes, at this point it's Sarah and Chris, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And thankfully, Chris has got a lighter on him.
Yeah, which illuminates beautifully in the infrared camera.
Yeah.
And it almost has a sort of, in a way, it's again the way that the images sort of come up in Ghostwatch. The flame almost has a very sort of gothic feel to it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's almost like the old they go around a castle, with the old flame torch. It's that sort of thing.
Oh, definitely. But we get into the kitchen and Sarah finds a flashlight, and then we see the pools of the water on the kitchen floor, and then all hell breaks loose, quite literally everywhere.
Yeah.
We hear Suzanne screaming, and Sarah and Chris go upstairs, but then they find out it's actually coming from the glory hole.
And I think you can hear cats as well at this point as well.
Yeah, we can.
Yep.
And then we hear an "oh shoot" from Chris as he falls down the stairs.
Again, was that genuine, or was it part of the script?
I think I would have thought, but I have no idea.
No idea. No. Oh well,
No idea.
never mind.
Sorry. But yeah. Then I'd love to know what happened in the house between Suzanne disappearing in the glory hole, and then we come back to the house. What actually happened at that particular point in time? Because we see Mike on the stretcher. So obviously paramedics have to have gone into the house to get to him.
I know.
So why didn't everybody else come out at the same time?
Because
Yes.
We wouldn't have all this bit that's happening next.
Well, that's true. That is true. That is very, very true.
You kind of have to ignore that, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mystery what happens because you don't see it. So
yeah.
I think maybe the paramedics came in, but at this point, Sarah and that when we come to them, are they hiding upstairs?
No, they're downstairs.
They're downstairs. That doesn't work, does it? Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they're just playing hide and seek with the paramedics or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got. So we come back. Then we hear Suzanne's voice coming from the glory hole downstairs.
Mm-hmm. So they rush down.
Yep. And then the glory hole doors opens.
Quite dramatically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Sarah slowly but surely walks into the glory hole.
Now, this is a bit where I don't mind a big sort of blast of air coming out.
Yeah.
It sort of works a bit more here because it's definitely not comical.
No.
It's done in such a way that it is it's basically what was that program? Rent a Ghost.
Yeah.
Don't go in the cellar.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah. Even though she is stopped, trying to be stopped.
Yeah, so Chris tries to stop her, but she's obviously at this point she's in a trance and just goes in and the door slams shut.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the end of that's pretty much it for Sarah.
Yeah. And then then we cut back to come back to the studio, and the studio is quite literally being evacuated.
Yeah, and then the lights are exploding,
Yeah.
and someone's shouting, "Get out the studio! Get out the studio!"
Yeah.
But there, just before, between the door slamming,
Yeah.
and it going back to the studio, and you've seen the lights, I do believe there is a pipe sighting.
We see pipes twice.
It's literally a freeze frame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Again, you can only really see that with a DVD copy.
Yeah.
And then he's on the gantry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we see then as I said, the studio is being evacuated. Mark Smith is saying, "I'm not going to go until someone tells me."
Yeah, I'm not going. I'm not going. He says. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to know my wife. I want to know my wife is safe. Yeah. No, I'm not going.
And so, what makes him go?
It's a good point, that, isn't it? He does go in the end.
Yeah. Then we cut back to Michael Parkinson, who's in a completely deserted studio, which begs the question: why didn't he get out when everybody else did?
Well, I'm guessing that he's actually already possessed at this point.
Yeah.
You know, he's just kind of, you know, acting the rest of it out, as it were. Because he's obviously, well, when we say he's totally possessed, he's obviously, like Sarah, in a trance at this point. Because he's not with it. He doesn't know where he is or what he's doing.
Yeah.
If he had his faculties, he'd get out, right? So yeah, at this point, obviously, Pipes has taken over. He's in a trance, and he's wandering aimless around trying to find a camera that's working.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the job of a presenter anyway. I mean, that's the sort of stuff they've got to put up with. So it, you know, it kind of takes the mick out of that at the same time, isn't it? Trying to find which camera to go into.
Yeah.
And then he discovers the autocrue's working.
Yeah.
And this is the
Yeah.
So go on then. What happens?
Then he wanders around the studio, and he says, "All the autocrue's working. Round and round the garden like a teddy bear." Did you believe that story about Mother Sevens? Did you? B5 faux firm, and then the camera cuts to black
with screaming cats over the top.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Boom.
And Parkinson's possessed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And it reveals, and it's a very interesting reveal there, isn't it? I mean, if you can say you can almost miss it. I missed it first time. That actually the whole Mother Sevens thing was a red herring.
Yeah.
It was, you know, basically it was all him all along.
Yeah.
He was just a very screwed up man in real life.
Yeah. And at that particular point in time, or how he's working this in reality at the BBC.
I mean, there was quite an aftermath of this too, wasn't there?
There certainly was. It certainly was. Because all the cast actually were on a boat.
Right.
They didn't want to be seen on a Halloween night, because obviously if they were seen, then obviously the Thrive program wouldn't have been real.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Because they always maintain that there was never any intention to deceive.
Yeah.
And yet you had the cast hiding on a boat.
Yeah.
So there must have been, I wouldn't say there was an intention to deceive, but obviously it must have been a concerted effort to try and make it seem as genuine as possible.
Yeah, they were at the London. They were at a London Sailing Club in Hammersmith.
Okay. Hammersmith, right?
Yeah, W6. But yeah, but so when I can't remember who it was now. I'm pretty sure it was Ruth Baumgarten came in to say, you know, oh, how was breaking news to the BBC? Everybody was saying, "Yay, brilliant!" No, not brilliant.
Yeah.
Not brilliant at all. This is not good.
Yeah. And it got a lot of complaints.
Yeah, about they did, after Ghostwatch was match of the day. Then after match of the day, they had to do another continuity announcement to say that basically, thanks for joining us for our Ghostwatch program earlier tonight. It was indeed a story, and everything is fine at the BBC.
Yeah, and Sarah Green is still alive.
They didn't quite say that.
Well, I know they didn't say that. They basically said everything is fine, everything is normal.
Yeah. But
there
Sarah
were some
Green
people who were wondering what the hell had happened to Sarah Green.
Yeah, but Sarah Green did have to appear on Children's BBC in the days following this to show that everybody she was fine.
That she was all right. Yeah, no, I do remember that. Yeah. Because I found the next day that the whole thing was a drama.
Yeah.
Much to my relief, of course, but still terrified me. So what night was it on then? So I'm just quick looking at the calendar, and it was a Saturday night.
Yeah, it was.
Show. Halloween was Saturday night in October 1992.
Yeah, it was. I've got the TV listings in front of me.
Oh, go on then. What else was on?
Let me just quickly find them in my book here. There we go. We've got Noah's House Party, Bruce Forsyth's Generation Game, Casualty, and Ghostwatch.
Do you know what? This is probably the only time that there was something scarier than Casualty on the same night.
There is the Saturday Night Trail on YouTube.
Say that again, sorry, mate.
So the Saturday Night Trailer.
Oh right.
Is actually on YouTube.
Oh okay.
Saying that coming up on Saturday night we've got Noah's House Party, Ghost.
Yes. I do know it. I have seen it.
Yeah. On ITV we've got Gladiators, Blind Date, Beavers About.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
And then
Beavers About was on.
Then we've got Wall Street.
Sorry, mate, but they missed a trick there. They absolutely missed a trick there. They should have had Beetle come on at the end, with a fake beard.
Yeah. And then on Channel 4, you've got things like Brookside.
Oh, right.
Right to Reply, Week in Politics.
Well,
The Word.
Right would have been an interesting one, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The Word.
Oh, yeah.
What else? And on BBC Two, of course, as I mentioned, the vote of horror. Have I got news for you?
Because that started back then, didn't it?
Yeah.
Blimey, yeah.
Yeah. So and it's
quite a mixed bag of television for Saturday night, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more variety than you get these days.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you look on YouTube and Daily Motion. You've actually got the entire BBC One TV on YouTube and or Daily Motion.
What for that evening?
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah, Big Break, Noah's House Party.
Oh wow!
Well, the only thing you don't have is Bruce Forsyth's Generation Game, but you got Dad's Army, Big Break, Noah's House Party, Casualty.
Yeah. So if you wanted to recreate that night, you could sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. But of course, the big event tonight was Ghostwatch.
Yeah.
So we pretty much talked about how it caused a major panic unintentionally at the time, and why it was so controversial at the time, and even now it's it's still considered pretty because it had a bit of an aftermath, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean,
there was obviously a very unfortunate one.
Yeah, even though the coroner didn't mention any, make any reference to the program at all.
No, but unfortunately, it has been attributed to it
Yeah.
whether that was true or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously a massive shame for Ghostwatch. I will say this openly, okay?
Yeah.
I mentioned last year that I was going to see the 25th anniversary of
Yeah. Yeah.
Ghostwatch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a friend of mine came onto Facebook and said, "Oh, why would you go and watch something like that caused someone to commit suicide?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then I had to explain to them that, well, that's never really been proven.
No.
It's obviously horrible what happened to that individual.
Yeah.
But even if it was, it's something that no one could have foreseen. And it is a very unfortunate um, thing that's been attributed to Ghostwatch. But something I tend not to think about myself when I'm watching it, because there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there? So
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah. But I thought it was worth a mention, because I say it's still controversial now, because there are still people who very much are of that opinion, and I think it's a big shame, because I think Ghostwatch to this very day remains an incredibly underrated piece of television.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely. But yeah, I mean,
So there is is there it's not is there I think there is a points of view, isn't there? You can
there's a point of view and a bite back.
That's right. Yeah. So there's the people actually discussing the program.
Yeah.
And then there's actually the usual points of view type letters.
Yeah. I mean, official the amount of official complaints was 2,215.
Yeah, the main complaint.
Yeah.
Was the main complaint that people thought that they were duped?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's always been mentioned that it caused a panic similar to
All the wards. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? So you went there for a moment.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Good. So this created a panic at the time that was similar to Orson Welles' radio broadcast of the War of the Worlds in the 30s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So when Orson Welles did this radio drama, people thought that Earth was really being invaded by aliens.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And definitely. So it created this national panic. And again, completely unintentional, and it was the same for Ghostwatch. Completely unintentional. Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think we're coming to the end of our show, our Ghostwatch show.
We certainly are. I mean, we pretty much got to. We got through it.
Yeah, we certainly have. We certainly have. 3 hours later, but who cares?
You suddenly realised, mate, that you could not squeeze this into an hour, because there's a lot to talk about at Ghostwatch.
Yeah, there is
hell of a lot. Yeah, so I think your 1 hour was extremely optimistic.
Yeah, that's true. that is very, very true. But yeah, but final thoughts.
Well, I want to, before I go on final thoughts, I want to mention one more thing, then we'll go on to final thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
It's something very interesting about the releases of Ghostwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the original BFI release, I do believe that you don't have the Scream 1 logo on it.
No, you do not.
That's correct. Right. Okay. But you do have the commentary, which is wonderful.
Yes.
However, there was a version brought out a few years ago by 101 Films.
Yes.
Which I bought for £3 from Morrison's. I don't know how much authorization there was behind this, but there we go. That's another story. Anyway, the Scream 1 intro is on this version. So, if you want to, if I want to recreate that moment, as it were, before the show started, I can with this version. But it is also on YouTube as well. But if I was in any doubt that the logo did appear at the start of the program, considering the fact that BFI omitted it from their version, it's on there. It shows that they did actually say it was a Scream 1 drama after all. And that's what I wanted to say on that. So I'll go into final thoughts now. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, if I don't mind, I want to go home. Right. Right.
No,
Okay.
I've got the Formula 1 qualifying on 10 minutes.
Well, this might take about 15. No. Yeah, I know I talked a lot tonight. Sorry, but I've just
No,
got to
that's
say
good.
about
That's good.
Ghostwatch, you know?
That's good.
Right. Okay. Um, I've pretty much said it all. Ghostwatch, for me, is a unique piece of television that will never be done again.
Nope.
Um, something like that has never been done before. I'm well
Yeah.
aware that it was originally supposed to be, I think, a 6-part series or something. But yeah,
6 parts, a 6 part series, and the final part was meant to be
was meant
a
to be
live broadcast. Yeah.
what we saw, pretty much what we had. So what we had was this last episode of a bigger story. Um, Personally, I prefer it like that. I like the fact that we just go straight into the live broadcast. I've said it so many times, even though I know it's not real, I
Mm-hmm.
still immerse myself into it when I'm watching it, and just for those 90 minutes, say to myself, well, you know what, it is. Let's just accept it is real and just enjoy it for what it is. It's very clever because all the people in it they play themselves very convincingly.
Yeah.
Which I said it's not an easy thing to do, and it's a great story. You know,
Yeah.
the fact that it's also revealed in bits as we go along. So I love the story. I was very happy to go to the 25th anniversary screening last year. Got to meet Stephen Vogue, Leslie Manning, Gillian Bevan, and Rich as well at the end.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience. It was also great being in the audience with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Seeing something that we all loved and enjoyed, and it was a very different experience because of the cinematic quality of the screening. And I recommend that to anybody, by the way. If you want to have a really good Ghostwatch experience, go and see it. Go and see a screening with an audience somewhere. But yeah, Ghostwatch has just become part of Halloween for me. I watch it every Halloween without fail. And if I am watching it on Halloween, I'm usually taking part in the National Seance, which is basically the live tweet, watching Ghostwatch at the exact time that it was shown, and
Yeah.
basically tweeting along with fellow fans of Ghostwatch. And so, yeah, like other things that I enjoy, like Red Dwarf and things like that, it's more than just this one-off program that's never ever been shown again. It's now become part of my Halloween experience, and something that's always going to be part of my Halloween experience, because as ghost programs go, it's my all-time favorite, and that's all I can say.
And I will finish off by saying, well, without Ghostwatch, I wouldn't have my love of the mockumentary genre. As I said earlier on, Blair Witch Project, Without Warning,
Yeah.
Special Bulletin was something I never mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really got me interested in. Well, actually, it's really got me interested in the history of television.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
Yeah. It's I've got books. When I watch OTV, I mean, there's tons of OTV on the old YouTubes, but I like watching it because of how they make it more the content, if you know what I mean. I watch them stuff for enjoyment, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But how things change over time. I mean, perfect example is No's House Party.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of No's House Party is now on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to watch that then.
Yeah. Like getting this guy's uploading 2 episodes every week.
Yeah.
But and seeing how that's changed over time, from the very early series in 91, 92 era, all the way through to the last series of 99, and you can actually see the entire decade of how things adapt, change. New technologies are being brought in as well.
This is what we said, right? Ghostwatch very much encapsulates how television was made in the early 90s. Every element of different live programs is in there. And then you look at how live television is made now, and it's completely different. So it has changed completely that way. So yeah, if you take anything from Ghostwatch at all, you've got that.
Yeah, indeed. But we'll say goodnight. And yeah, so thanks for listening for the past 2 hours.
2 hours and 44 minutes.
Yeah, no, but I'm hoping to get that down in the edit.
All right, cut that bit out.
Yes. So thanks for listening for the past 2 hours, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheerio.
Goodbye, and don't have any nightmares.
Yes, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. If you still are.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Cheers, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
And I'm gonna have to disappear myself, Tim. I'm sorry, but
Sorry,
we've got the.
I was starting to get a horrible cough there at the end anyway. So
That's cool, and I've just seen a missed phone call as well, which I need to return.
all right, mate. Well, sorry it went on longer than expected, but I had a hell of a lot to talk about.
That's fine. I'm gonna stop